Hey guys, this is Kyle,
And this is Brendan.
and we are your Gaijin friends.
All right, good to go.
Let's start the podcast. All right, so what are you up to right now, Brandon?
I'm recording a podcast with you, Kyle. Why do you ask?
Oh, that's funny. Just curious. I'm a curious guy. Because I'm currently drinking some beer right now.
Are you really?
Yeah, some cha beer. Because why wouldn't I on this day?
Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day, isn't it? No, it's not.
It is. Yeah, it is.
I thought it's one day yesterday. One day yesterday.
One day yesterday.
Also referred to as yesterday.
For me, it is yesterday, but for you, it's St. Patrick's Day today.
It is, that's right.
So why aren't you drinking?
It's a little bit too early to be drinking. I might have one later, but maybe at home.
Okay, that's very reasonable of you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Q&A segment then.
Okay.
Why don't you get us started?
Okay, so I have a question here from Takaki, one of my students, who actually asked me this a little while ago, but he asked me, what's the difference between why and how come? Have you ever thought of that?
That is a good question. They're both quite similar, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, same meaning.
Yeah. Actually, when he asked me, I thought maybe I was missing some knowledge and couldn't really answer him, so I decided to go online and search, but...
Did you ask Jeeves?
I did not ask Jeeves, no. But, yeah, I thought they were the same meaning. They just both mean why. And when I looked online, sure enough, they both mean why.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
was
what's the difference
surprised.
then?
I guess it's how we use it. How come is a little more casual, informal. Why is... I can't say it's more formal, but it's more direct.
Uh-huh. I feel why is more like standard, like just... It could be used for anything, whereas how come is often like a person's reasons for doing something. Or a
Right.
reason for something happen. I guess why is always reasons for something happening, but...
It is, yeah. I guess the biggest difference seems to come with how it's used, like the grammar. So with why,
Mhm.
we always use why do or why did or something like that. And with how come we don't use do, it's a little easier to use. 'Cause do is a strange verb. How come you were late for class instead of
how come you were late for class?
Yeah.
Right.
You don't always have to use do with why, but why were you late for class? The grammar
Mhm.
construction is a little more different. Why?
Yeah, I feel like often how come is often used just by itself. Like,
That's right.
hey, I can't come to your party. How come?
Yeah, exactly. If you say why, all you people listening, you say why in that situation is very, very straightforward and direct, and the person listening will probably think you're angry if you're like, why? Oh, sorry.
That's true. Yeah, but how come? It's just like legitimately disappointed, but it's not necessarily like rude or anything. So
Right.
yeah, that's a good distinction.
Yeah. So, anybody out there that wants to use how come instead of why, go ahead. It's easy, same meaning, and you'll sound more natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Well, I also got a question from Natsuko in
Okay.
Chiba. And it's not related to grammar or English at all, but she wants to know, what's your go-to breakfast? So first of all, I guess I was impressed with the use of go-to.
I like it.
If anyone doesn't know, what does go-to mean as an adjective?
Your first choice?
First choice, it could be like default, kind of
Yep.
what you decide if there's nothing else special in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, like, oh, what's your go-to cafe? Or what's your go-to meal when you're feeling lazy or something?
Or go-to music when you're cleaning.
Right. There you go. Yeah. So the question, what's your go-to breakfast, Brandon?
Me, I would say I don't know if it's my favorite, but talking about go-to,
Yeah,
definitely
often
is
go-to is not necessarily your favorite. It's
right.
just kind of most common, maybe.
In this situation, I agree. It's not my favorite, but the thing I eat almost every day is bacon and eggs. Can't get enough of it.
Almost every day, really.
Almost every day.
Huh.
Fantastic.
What would be your favorite then?
My favorite, eggs Benedict, for sure.
What is eggs Benedict? I don't even know.
The eggs Benedict is, I think it's a poached egg. Is it basted? I'm sorry, all you egg fans. And then with hollandaise sauce, and usually with ham or smoked salmon or something. The hollandaise sauce is what gives it
Character?
happiness. Yes.
Happiness. Yeah. I see. That's interesting because so eggs Benny is kind of like the same deal, but just on the sandwich. Or
It's the same thing. Eggs Benny is just a short version.
I'm an idiot. Because I had like a vegan eggs Benny like when I was in Victoria,
That's interesting.
and I definitely remember the hollandaise sauce was sweet.
You
Literally.
know, okay, because eggs Benedict, I would say, is the least vegan-friendly food you can get, minus like turkey or something,
Yeah.
because it has meat and eggs, and then the hollandaise sauce is about 80% butter. So, I'm
Yeah,
really curious now.
the hollandaise sauce was a cashew base,
Oh wow!
so super creamy,
Yeah,
and yeah, I'm sure it was like a tofu kind of based egg, quote unquote, and there was some kind of vegan sausage or vegan meat. So
ingenious use of nuts.
it was nuts. It was
It
great.
was nuts. Oh jeez.
It was crazy for anyone who doesn't know. Yeah.
So anybody out there that likes these kind of stupid jokes, dajare in Japanese, they're called puns in English, or plays on words. Plays on words? Don't quote me on any of that.
Yeah, usually it'll be used like it's a play on words.
That's
so
right.
we don't have to worry about S's and stuff, but yeah. Or recently I didn't know this. Like I heard in Japanese oyaji gyagu.
Yeah,
So it's like old man or dad jokes.
that joke. Yeah.
But I never heard that in English until I came back to Canada and so I was like, "Oh, that's dad jokes." And I was like, "What?"
You've never heard that before?
I hadn't. Recently
really?
I've heard it.
Oh,
But
my
for a
dad
while
always
I,
made stupid jokes, so I heard that. I like pun was like a newer word for me. It was a long time ago for both, but
I say I always knew pun or play on words, but I guess I'd always been into that kind of. No, I haven't always been into that kind of joke, but since studying Japanese,
yeah.
I focused on all the words, so I noticed the similarities. So that's when I got into
Oh, making Japanese puns.
Yeah. And then I got into English puns after that. And I really got into it.
Mine started with my dad. Thanks, Dad, for introducing me to stupid puns. But I don't even remember how old I was, 6 or 7. I remember one time I said, "Hey, Dad," and he told me "hay's for horses," and I had no idea what he was trying to tell me. Like, what?
That's a good go-to pun.
Oh, man.
Hay is for horses.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
yeah. My go-to breakfast? Thanks for asking, Brandon. I would say
Sorry, mouthful of
probably I'll always have some kind of fruit, so either apple or a mandarin, mikan for those who don't know. And then after that, generally always toast with coconut oil or tahini.
Tahini,
Kind of.
what is that?
You don't know tahini? It's like sesame seed paste. Also, it's very similar to nerigoma in Japanese, but usually it's used for hummus. So
Oh, I see.
people who make hummus know tahini, but I'll also put that on toast sometimes and sprinkle a little pink salt on it. Yeah,
None of that
That's-
regular stuff, eh? Just pink.
just pink. Yeah, gotta Yeah, I'm not gonna make a joke there. But yeah, so that's my breakfast of champions. So,
Breakfast at Champ. Good.
uh-huh. Anywho, why don't we take a look at observations?
All right, let's do it.
So I'll start us off here. So
Sure.
my observation here, not about language this week, but it's about people in Japan, and it's in relation to coats. So
Coats as in jackets?
coats as in jackets.
Okay.
So in Canada, we are reasonable, and when we wear coats,
Yeah.
if it's a little bit cold, what do you think we will do with the zipper?
Open it.
If we're a little cold?
Oh, if it's getting colder, close it.
Yes, naturally. We close our coats and then we are warm. But not the Japanese. So in Japan,
Yeah.
people almost always have their coats wide open, but they still complain, "Oh, samui, samui, it's so cold." And so this bugs me.
I have definitely closed my friends' jackets before because I'm tired of hearing them say it's cold.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. They're just constantly saying it's cold, it's cold. It's like, well, you're wearing a scarf, but still your coat's wide open. I don't understand this.
It's fashion, man.
Fashion? Yeah, but they never admit that it's fashion either. So,
True.
and
But
the funny thing is, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're there and you're doing it for fashion, you shouldn't be complaining. You know what you're going in for.
Yeah, no pain, no gain, right? So,
Right.
but I was with a friend the other day, and they did the whole like, oh, it's so cold. I'm like, why don't you do up their coat? But they didn't even have buttons on it. No buttons, no zipper, anything.
What?
It was just not
it
even
just doesn't
made.
close at all? Oh.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's like a
That's-
cardigan. Not really a jacket at all.
yeah, it looks like a jacket, but it's an imposter. It's a
Imposter jacket.
it's a fake jacket. But anyway, and then on that subject of coats, another observation I have is recently there's like a trend. I don't know if it's only in Japan, but a lot of young girls will wear coats like hanging off their shoulders. Have you seen this at all?
Yes, I have.
And just like I think just Japanese people in general need to figure out how to wear coats. But I'm a grumpy old man, so maybe that's
True. But you know that actually, you know how fashion kind of comes around? It goes in waves. Because that was a very, very popular fashion a long, long time ago in like
Really?
the 30s. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, if you go watch old movies, you'll probably see it showing shoulders. Nowadays, girls, even if they're wearing a jacket like that, they don't show their shoulders. But yeah, you're talking about kind of oversized clothing, right?
Not
that is-
oversized.
No.
No, just their coats. They just wear like not
Oh.
completely on.
Oh yeah.
So it's not even like they're showing bare skin shoulders. They just have their
okay,
coats
okay.
halfway off.
Mm.
It's kind of like
That's-
baggy pants, I guess, where it's just
Yeah, it's a young trend starting
Uh,
over.
So I just thought that was weird. Anyway, you got an observation for me, Brandon?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of related to wearing things, but talking about the recent problem with the coronavirus, COVID-19. So, an observation I've seen in Vancouver is the majority of Asian people wear masks and the majority of non-Asian people don't. And I don't know what's a good thing or not. I suppose if you have a mask, you might as well wear it. But most non-Asian people don't have masks. Not something we grow up with, and it's a
Mhm.
weird thing to do. So
I mean,
the-
if someone's wearing a mask, you assume that they're deathly ill.
yeah, like
And they're gonna-
serious.
They're gonna like you're gonna catch some crazy disease. So
Yeah, like Ebola or something.
So when I first came to Japan and everyone was wearing masks, I think it was during like swine flu, so no Buddha
Oh, yeah,
influenza, it was just like everyone was wearing a mask, and it just felt like a horror movie for me. Of course, I'm used to it now, but yeah.
Yeah, living in Vancouver, I'm used to it as well, but now it's more. Actually, there's not so many people out anyway right now if you go shopping or outside, but interesting.
Yeah, I guess there's not a crazy big population in Vancouver anyway, so when people stay home, maybe you notice it more.
Oh, big time.
I mean, you do notice less people in Kyoto, but you still see a reasonable amount of people. So
I was at Metrotown yesterday, and Starbucks has no line. A lot of the stores are closed. Walmart was like a one-person wait. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, the whole country is like shutting down, which is good.
Are you guys still out of toilet paper?
Yeah, the toilet paper is sold out like everywhere. Actually, I saw like chaos happen in front of my eyes when I was at Walmart. I was standing in the checkout line, and they wheeled out, on the pallet jacks. They brought out a pallet of toilet paper, and they put it down near the checkout, and people just rushed in. So I thought, okay, maybe I better go grab one package of it. So I went and got one, and came back. And by the time I had walked back to the line to my basket, the whole pallet was empty. It was just cardboard boxes everywhere. The guy with the pallet jack was still standing there. He like jacked it back up and wheeled it back into the storage room. It was crazy. It was like 2 minutes. The whole pallet was gone.
2 minutes. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I have a lot of toilet paper now, so I'm fine.
Well, I guess if people are staying at home now, they're going to be going to the bathroom at home more often, so they need
True.
a lot of toilet paper, I guess.
Yeah. I saw some people buying a lot. They should have some kind of rules. Like limited, like 100 rolls per person or something. I don't know.
100 per person?
Yeah, like that's an extreme amount, right? But people are buying a lot more than that. 200, 300. So I guess if you have a family of 15, that might be necessary. But
maybe. But one thing that I noticed, Japanese people love wearing masks.
Yep.
Even if they're not sick, they sometimes wear it because it's comfortable, or so they don't have to wear makeup.
Yeah,
but
I also heard it's warm, and then they can hide their identity.
Exactly. Yeah. But still, at least for Japanese men, a lot of people don't actually wash their hands properly or at all. So
like all the time?
Very often, yeah. Like if I go into a Japanese washroom in like the train station, almost every guy will just splash maybe a little water on their hands and then maybe put it through their hair, or like there's not even any soap left in the bathroom. So I mean, if you're not washing your hands, then you're adjusting your mask, you take the mask down to eat or whatever. I mean, it becomes completely useless. So I think a lot of it is like the kind of false sense of security. Yeah. Because if you're wearing a mask, it seems like you're protected. But I think just people like it as like a security blanket.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah. But
I have some masks at my home, but they're for women and they're pink. I haven't used them yet. I don't really go out very much, but
it's Vancouver. You can wear pink masks.
True.
But I did email that train station, and
tell them to put soap back in their washrooms.
Yeah, I was like, especially during this kind of pandemic, like it's very irresponsible to not have any soap in there, and it's such an easy thing to do. So next time I went, soap in the bathroom.
That's good. To be fair, they might be like out or almost out. Like people might steal it. Like who knows?
No. That train station, I've been there every day or every week for like 5 years, and they have never had it in their bathroom.
Oh, really?
So they had posters up in the station about proper hand washing.
Oh, but they don't have soap.
Yeah, it's the stupidest thing ever. But yeah, at least they have one thing of soap across 4 different sinks to share.
At least they have bathrooms. I know that we don't have bathrooms at our stations.
That is true.
Yeah.
So you got to be like very careful about where you go. But all right, so why don't we all gather around the fire in our quarantined, self-isolation situations, and I hear you have a story for us.
Oh,
So,
story time.
Story time. Here we go.
Okay, so the other day I was thinking about my trip to Japan and what happened there and the fun stuff. And one of the most interesting memories I had last time I was there, when I was in Okinawa, was getting lost at the airport. So,
How do you get lost at the airport?
Have you been to Okinawa?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember Naha Airport?
Yeah,
Very small.
it is, which makes it more confusing that you got lost.
Yeah. So, I was actually meeting my friend Sam in Okinawa. So he went there a couple days before. One of my friends here in Vancouver, and so I arrived at the airport. He had already arrived in Okinawa, and he knew I was getting there around 3 p.m. or something. So I get to the airport, checked on Google Maps, said I had to take the Yui-sen downtown.
Mhm.
So I looked around the airport, couldn't find Yui-sen anywhere. So I talked to the information desk. Like, it's a very small airport for anybody who hasn't been to Okinawa. It's 3 floors, I think. It's tiny. And I asked the information desk how to find Yui-sen. And they told me, go upstairs, go outside, across the platform, and there it is. I was like, oh, okay. So I asked this in Japanese. I'm proud of my Japanese, no problem. Go upstairs, go outside. The only signs I could find were monorail. So I followed it a little bit, but I couldn't find Yui-sen anywhere. So I came back inside, looked around for another exit. Sure enough, no other exit. So checked Google Maps again after I was back and had Wi-Fi again. And sure enough, Yui-sen. So I went to a different information desk on the second floor.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to talk to the same person and ask the same question, because that's
That would
embarrassing.
be embarrassing. Yeah.
Right. So I go to the information desk on the second floor, ask the same question in English this time, just to make sure get my point across. She answers really good English, tells me go upstairs, outside, follow the walkway, and you'll get to the train. Sure enough, go upstairs, go outside again. Like, that's the only place I could find to go outside, and it says monorail. Follow it all the way to the end. It's only monorail. Come back inside, like ripping my hair out. I don't know what to do. And then my phone rings because I'm back on Wi-Fi, and it's Sam phoning me. And I answer the phone, and he's like, hey, where are you? And I said, I'm at the airport, but I'm lost. I can't find Yui-sen. And he's like, what are you talking about? Just go outside upstairs. Like, why is everybody telling me the same thing? And he tells me in Okinawa, there's only one train line. So, yes, it's called Yui-sen, but nobody uses it or knows that name because they just call it monorail because it's the only one. So, I felt like an idiot. So, sure enough, it was that one. I made it downtown. We met up. It was all good. But but if you go to Okinawa and you're an international traveler and Google Maps tells you to take Yui-sen, do not look for any sign that says Yui-sen because they do not exist anywhere. It only says monorail. You're looking for the monorail.
I'm curious. Why is it called Yui-sen? Is it because it's like Yuitsu no Senro?
I have no
the
idea.
the
but,
only the only line.
well, like in Vancouver, we have Expo, Millennium, and Canada Line, right?
Sure.
So a lot of people just say the SkyTrain, depending on where you are.
Right.
So I guess it might be the same thing. If there's only one, why do you have to call it by like Expo Line when you could just say SkyTrain?
Mhm,
So at first I thought it was stupid, but I guess it's the same thing in Vancouver.
Mhm. Oh, you poor guy.
I know. So that's
All
my
right.
story.
All right, that was a fun story time. It's just you being an idiot.
Getting lost in the airport.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I had 3 people look at me like I was dumb. Information downstairs, information upstairs, and then my friend Sam.
Mhm. Well, it was a learning experience, right?
It was. I'll pass that information along to all the listeners.
Mhm. All right. Well, let's get to our last Q&A of the day.
All right. You have a question?
Yeah, I got a question from Chihiro,
Okay.
who you might have heard from before. Question in Japanese. いつから日本に興味を持ったの? So,
Mm.
Uh, when were you first interested in Japan? Or what?
Yeah, or when did you first get interested in Japan?
Right. So
You want to go first? Am I going
Sure.
first?
Yeah. So for me personally, I started taking Japanese lessons
Yeah.
in university because I wanted to learn a very different language. Because like French, Italian, Spanish, it's all pretty similar. But Japanese is like obviously very different alphabet. And, it just had that nantonaku kind of cool image of Japan
Mm-hmm.
as like a kind of futuristic place. So I'm like, okay. And a friend recommended Japanese. So I took the language courses, and that's basically it. I mean, I was never into manga or anime in particular, like most people in my class.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I just liked the language, did a study abroad, liked the people. And so that's my answer. What about for you?
We have a very different history with Japanese. So, my first interest in Japanese, I think, started when I was 9 or something, 10.
Wow.
When I started watching Dragon Ball when I was a child. Yeah. So I
Everyone
wasn't
loves
really
Dragon
interested
Ball.
in the language because it was all in English. It was just cool. But it got me interested in anime, and then a friend of mine, his name is Matt, and he's quite a bit older than me, and he lent me a Dragon Ball comic book that he had received, and I started drawing pictures, and that got me more interested in it. But it wasn't until I was maybe 20 when I started studying the language, and I don't remember why I decided to study. No idea, actually. I started studying when I was still in Penticton, but
It wasn't
I
because
really
of
got-
Dragon Ball?
yeah, it probably was. I actually can't recall why, because I had no connection with any Japanese people at the time, but I got into video game school and I studied video games. And a teacher of mine named Jason, I think, just kind of mentioned one day that Japanese was cool, and then it really got me into like studying again.
You're
So
easy, Brandon.
I know. So that's when I really started. So at the time, I loved video games and I loved anime and anything related to like Japanese culture. So it's interesting because that's what got me into the language. But
Right.
once I really started studying Japanese, I really lost my interest in anime, my interest in anime. So
Mhm.
I still like the odd animation, but I'm
I don't
not
know.
like the anime nerd that I used to be, for sure.
I see. Yeah, I got into Lupin.
Oh, I've never watched it.
Oh, it's definitely good. It's kind of like it's a anime for adults, I feel.
Okay.
Like the music is really good in it. It's like kind of 70s
Yes.
kind of jazz, like romantic kind of feel to it. And
I
it's
do
like
know the music.
Yeah, and it's a group of like jewel thieves. But it's a good one. So Lupin the Third.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to watch it someday. It's really old, right?
Yeah. But it's
Okay.
so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out someday.
All right. Did you have a last question?
Yeah, I guess it's a question. Question observation kind of mix. So about how when people are answering questions, especially Western culture versus Japanese culture, when we answer a question about everyday life, we usually provide either additional information that isn't obvious at the beginning, or we go into detail. So for example, let's try this. I'll put Kyle on the spot here. Kyle, what did
Yes.
you do today?
Today I just woke up, had breakfast, did a lesson, and now I'm having some coffee and doing a podcast.
Coffee, you told me it was beer. You lied to me.
Oh, shh. Bareta.
Okay. So, yeah, often when I ask this question to my friends, what did you do on the weekend? Or what did you do today? They just tell me, not much, not much, not much. What are you doing next weekend? Not much. So, it's okay. Maybe people don't want to talk about their life, but
You mean Canadians do that?
No, my Japanese friends.
Right. Yeah. Maybe they just don't
Or
have interesting lives.
it's possible, yeah.
Maybe they don't eat breakfast. Maybe they don't drink coffee.
Yeah, so actually at the beginning I thought it was a privacy thing. So especially when I ask people, when I meet somebody new and I ask them like, oh, what kind of work do you do? And they say, oh, I'm an office worker. I feel like, oh, okay, you don't want to talk about your life. That's okay.
Mhm.
But I realized that that's just a normal answer. And I still don't really know why. Because for me, probably 80% of my friends are office workers, and it gives no information about what they actually do.
Right.
Like, are they programmers? Do they
True,
they writing a
true.
newspaper? Are they lawyers? Are they IT? Like, what is their job? Office worker for me is so open-ended. It's like, it makes me angry.
Yeah. I work for a company.
Yeah.
Oh, do you? Wow. Let me ask another question then. But yeah, I definitely noticed that as well. Or like one thing that came to mind when you said that was often I'll ask someone, like we're already talking about their jobs. Maybe I say, "What do you do?" And like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm an office worker." So then
Yeah.
after that, I will say, "Where do you work?"
Mm.
And if I ask you,
Can I guess
Brandon,
the answer?
if I ask you this question personally,
Yeah.
Brandon, where do you work?
The company name.
Right, the company name.
Yeah.
So but most people here, where do you work? Like it's South Osaka or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh no, that's not what I'm asking. I don't care the location.
Like, yeah. The geographical location of the office.
Yeah. So normally, where do you work? The company name is what you answer with. So.
Yeah, when I meet English people in Vancouver here and I ask them, what do you do? Or what's your job? Or what kind of job do you have? Usually the people tell me, oh, I'm a marketing assistant at so-and-so company. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
They
they
get
give you
lots of
all the
information.
information you need. Yeah.
Yeah, not like I work in an office. Oh, what kind of office? Oh, it's an IT office. Oh, do you do programming or do you do IT or do you do marketing? Oh, marketing. Okay, what kind of marketing do you do? It's like this ongoing kind of game of back and forth where
Right.
our culture is very just like, oh, here's all the information you need.
Here's more than you need, maybe, but.
Yeah, maybe.
That's true. Yeah. Well, it's even like I don't know if it's connected, but in English we ask more open-ended questions too.
We do, yeah.
Like in Japanese, "O genki desu ka?" Like it's more like just yes or no, right?
True, yeah.
Yes, I am. You already give them the answer.
Hmm.
Whereas in English, how are you? Then it's like,
True.
oh geez, now I gotta like actually give some information. Yeah.
Most people just say good anyway, though.
True. But I mean, it also gives you the option of like saying like, okay, at least.
Oh, actually, talking about this answer, often I have students tell me fine or so-so. So let's talk about that.
Yes, let's.
Okay, let's start with fine. Kyle, how are you?
I'm fine.
All right. So what does that mean? When you hear fine, what does that mean to you?
It means not so good. It means
Yeah.
something is wrong. Because typically, like, yeah, let me ask you and you answer that way, okay? So,
Okay.
how are you, Brandon?
Fine.
What? Are you okay? Really? Like,
Yeah, that's exactly how the conversation usually goes.
like what's wrong?
Right, so I feel like fine for me means I'm not okay, but I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Is what fine means for me.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, if you're in like a business situation and you're speaking like formal English, then I think it's still acceptable. Like, how are you, Mr. Johnson? Fine, thank you. And you? Like, if it's something like that, then that's fine. But fine basically means like, even if there's no problem, fine basically means there's no particular problem.
You're just not really willing to talk about whatever situation you're in at the moment.
I just even mean,
Maybe.
like, for example, if you fall on the ground, someone will ask,
Oh.
"Are you okay?" And you say, "Yeah, I'm fine." So
Right. Which means you're not okay, but you'll be okay.
even just like no big problem, basically, no injuries,
Sure.
you know. So it doesn't mean like genki.
Mm.
'Cause-
Or you ask your significant other, "Are you okay?" And then they reply, "I'm fine."
and often, I'm fine. Like
Yeah.
where it's like, whoa, they're definitely not fine. You know?
Right. So yeah, I think if you put it into a full sentence, like "I'm feeling fine today" or something, it sounds more acceptable. So
Sure.
don't use it alone.
But especially it's the way you say it. Like
True. Yeah.
I'm fine is just like mama kind of.
Right. And "mama" translates to "so-so," doesn't it?
Yeah, it'll often come up as so-so, but so-so is so old, I think. So
Have you ever said "so-so" to anybody when they ask you, "How are you?"
never.
Me neither.
Yeah. So I mean,
So pro tip: don't say "so-so."
you could say it and people will understand, but I wouldn't recommend it because maybe people might laugh if it
Yeah, for sure.
strikes them as very old. Yeah.
I would say if you're not feeling so good, but you're kind of mama, then use "okay," "I'm okay."
Right.
And then if you're feeling a little bit better than "so-so," say "I'm all right."
right,
Would be my recommendation.
Sure. And I mean, like, the way you say "okay" again is what changes the meaning. So like,
True.
I'm okay. Is like, oh,
Mhm.
not too bad, but
Right.
I'm okay. Then doesn't sound too confident. So,
Right.
but
Okay.
yeah. How do you feel about that? Is that okay?
It's a perfectly fine answer to me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today, folks. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on our socials, Instagram. I guess just that right now. Email us questions, post questions on Instagram, on the YouTube page, wherever. And what do you got to say, Brandon?
I'm looking forward to seeing all your questions. So you guys feel free to answer or ask us questions in English or Japanese, and cultural or language-based questions are totally fine.
And I think what we're going to start doing is at the end of every podcast, we will ask you a question. So please respond on the Instagram page or wherever. So today's question I like to ask, what's your go-to breakfast?
Sounds like a good question.
And we can ask other questions. What's your go-to whatever? So feel free to tell us your go-to anything.
Oh, and a quick reminder for anybody sending in questions or making comments, if you want your comment read, please tell us what name you want used if you don't want us to read out your Instagram handle. So put in your name or just say, please don't say my name.
Sounds good. All right. Well, see you guys later, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Adios.